Hey there, this is Matt from Fitness Simplified, my own channel on nutrition, fitness, and other related topics. Link in the description. I'm doing another video for Great Lakes Prepper. This is a video that I've thought a lot about, and I think it kind of applies to some of my more areas of expertise. This is also going to be probably kind of a controversial video, and there's some of you that will watch this and you're not going to like what you hear. Okay, what I'm going to be talking about today is the ideal prepper physique, or the ideal body for a prepper. Now, first of all, I do not claim to have the perfect body for a prepper, or by any stretch of imagination, along any sort of scale or whatever. I don't think I have the perfect body at all. I would have a lot of work to do to get to that state. But I feel that I do know what would be best for a prepper. And you know, one of the kind of dirty little secrets of the prepper community, or the firearms community, or whatever you want to call it, is that there's a big problem with people that are out of shape. You know, overweight, sometimes old, which is okay. You can be old. I understand it's a lot harder to stay in shape when you're older, you know. But my dad's 53 and he still runs on the treadmill. He still lifts weight. There's not too many excuses, except for maybe if you have some sort of injury or something like that. That's fine then, I understand that. But if you don't, if your quote-unquote injury is, you know, that heart disease is starting to sneak in or something like that, you have joint problems, maybe that's because you're, you know, overweight. Extra weight, extra fat especially, carries a lot of health risks. You know, part of being a prepper is, you know, prepping for what, a SHTF scenario, right? But as we both know, that there's a lot of things that can apply to everyday life. The power goes out, good thing you have food and a heating source, you know, already ready, whereas a lot of people wouldn't. Everyday carry, you know, most of you guys will never use your knife in a self-defense scenario, but most of you guys will use it to, you know, cut cord or, you know, do some little task. Part of being a prepper is doing things that not only will apply to a apocalyptic scenario, but also apply to a everyday life kind of scenario. That's what, you know, that's one of the advantages of trying to get yourself in better shape, lose some of that fat. So as I was saying, in the prepper community, we have a big problem with, I'll just say, obesity, you know, overweight, or not even always that, just not being in good shape, not having a good, you know, not working out enough, not being strong enough, not having enough endurance. So I'm going to be talking about that today, what I feel, and you guys can feel free to argue in the comments, but I don't think there will be a whole bunch of argument after this video, what I feel is the best prepper body. I mean, I'm going to make this simple. I'm not going to go into ectomorphs, endomorphs, and mesomorphs. I've seen some people do that, and that's fine. But I understand a lot of you guys might not know what all those things are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it on 3 different scales, okay? And find a happy medium for a prepper in those scales. So I'm going to take body fat, all the way from, you know, very obese, high body fat percentage, all the way to very low body fat percentage. Think somebody that's just super thin, or like a bodybuilder, low body fat percentage, and find a happy medium between those two. I'm going to take muscle mass, take very high muscle mass, again like a bodybuilder, all the way down to a low muscle mass, somebody that's very slim, has a hard time putting on muscle mass, or somebody that's just very overweight and doesn't work out and put on muscle. And then finally, the last scale I'm going to use is a scale from what you're training for, or what kind of exercise you're doing, all the way from endurance. I'm talking long distance walks, hikes, or like marathon running, distance running, all the way kind of somewhere in the medium, like an intermediate type, high intensity type workout stuff, all the way down to the extremely high intensity short-term workout, like lifting weights. I'm going to find a happy medium, what I believe to be the best type of fitness to be for the average prepper. Some other things, first of all, some of you guys might be thinking like, well, as part of my plan, when everything goes south, I'm not going to be bugging out, I'm just going to be bugging into my house, so I don't need to worry about things like endurance. You know, I don't need to train for that kind of stuff. I think that's totally wrong. First of all, as soon, you know, you guys can put plans down. It's good to put plans for these things down. But those plans can completely be changed at a moment's notice. You know, you might have these really good plans to bug in, and you know, you might have all these food stores and stuff, and then all of a sudden you need to get evacuated, or all of a sudden, you know, you need to move miles at a time on foot or something. You know, things like that can happen. Also, if you are bugging in, you might have preparations that you plan to have, like a garden, you know, farming. A lot of times after the power goes out, transportation is basically non-existent. We're going to be setting ourselves back a few hundred years. Farming is going to become big again. You want to go to, you know, your friend's house a few miles away, you're going to have to walk there, or maybe ride a bike, I guess. You're going to be doing a lot more physical activity than you might be planning on doing right now. And you need the right body and the right fitness for that, okay? So even those of you that plan on bugging in and not bugging out and walking 20 miles to a destination, you're going to need to get in better shape. You're going to need to cut fat, and you're going to need to build muscle, and you're going to have to get the right type of fitness level for what you plan on doing. Okay, so getting into what I think is the best prepper body or physique. Let's start at body fat. Okay, body fat is usually measured as a percentage of your weight. You guys don't need to be super familiar with this. You can find equations online to estimate your body fat. They're not always super good, especially if you're something like an atypical body type. Let's say you're like a bodybuilder or you have lots of muscle. The percentage won't be very good. They work to an extent. But I'm going to be talking in percentages here. Okay, so starting from the lower end, we have somewhere in the 5%, 4%, all the way up to 8 or 10%. That's what I'd consider almost like a bodybuilder type body fat percentage. And I think that is a bad spot to be in if you want to survive. That's what we're talking about here, to give ourselves the best chance to survive such a scenario. If you have low body fat, it's not just bodybuilders, it can be maybe you're just very, very slim, skinny. Having a low body fat has some major disadvantages. It has a few advantages, you know, you're carrying around less weight, but it has a lot of disadvantages too. Getting into those, when you have a low body fat percentage, fat acts as an insulator. So if you're living up north and things go south, so to say, and it's cold outside, you're going to want that extra fat, you know, even if it's just a few extra pounds for insulation. Fat is a major energy store for your body. If you have a very low fat percentage on your body, 5, 8%, something like that, even getting close to 10%, you're going to be able to last not as long. You know, we all have plans for, you know, huge food stores and stuff, you know, but for most of us, there probably would be a time where we have to ration food, you know, eating 1,200, 1,000 calories a day. During that time, our body's going to tap into our energy stores, primarily fat, right? It's going to take that fat and break it down to an extent. If it doesn't have enough fat to break down, it's going to start tapping more quickly to your muscle tissue. You guys don't want to lose muscle, first of all. But muscle also isn't as energy dense as fat. It's less than half as energy dense. So if you have a pound of fat compared to a pound of muscle, you can get twice the energy out of a pound of fat than you can a pound of muscle. Also muscle mass. If you have a huge amount of muscle mass, I'm talking bodybuilders or something like that, and not much fat, that muscle mass uses more calories than a pound of fat would. So you're going to be spending more calories too. Basically, you're going to waste away pretty quickly. Bodybuilders, those of you that are really into bodybuilding, keeping a low body fat percentage, you know that you need to be eating constantly. And if you don't, your body's going to go in fasting mode and start tapping into that muscle for energy. A lot of amino acids in this muscle can be used by your body to produce glucose and fat to some extent. So if you have a really low body fat percentage, you're going to run into a problem called ketosis. Although that might be something that anyone would run into if they're starving. But your body's going to try and run solely off of fat, okay? that's going to create some problems for you. And then it's going to start tapping into that muscle. Your muscle's going to waste away. And your body doesn't run very well off of muscle, off of protein or amino acids. Not as well as it would run off of fat, and certainly not as well as it would run off of glucose. That's our goal, I guess, is to keep a good store of glycogen and glucose rather than fat or protein. But unfortunately, our body can only store about 48 hours at the max. I'm talking if you aren't really doing much activity, 48 hours at the max as far as how much glucose it can store at once. You're going to run out of glucose pretty quickly, and fat would be the second best choice for your body to use for energy. Protein's the worst because it takes a long time, it's not energy efficient, and you're going to be losing muscle. You don't want to lose muscle mass. So that's the dangers of being too low in body fat. Let's go the other side of the spectrum, too high in body fat. I'm going to set this at 20%. If you're above 20%, it'd be a good idea to lose some body fat. Okay, I'll give you a good percentage to be in. But if you're above 20%, and hey, I myself am at 19%. I realize I need to lose some of that percentage. But 20% and higher is probably too high. And I'm talking for a male. This is all for male. Females, I'll just throw out a number right now. A good goal would be 20%. Women tend to carry more body fat. In fact, not tend to, they always do, because they have certain things called sex-specific fat. Women have a higher body fat percentage than men. Okay, so women, 20%. I don't know the exact range. As high as 30% is healthy. Once you get down to 15%, you're running the same problems as a man would if he had 8% or something fat. So 20% to 25, maybe 30, that's a good range for women. Back to men, as far as body fat go, if you're above 20%, you're probably carrying too much fat. So what's bad about carrying too much fat? First of all, it's going to slow you down. You're carrying too much extra weight. Second of all, it probably means you're not very fit. Unless you're maybe weightlifting, you're probably not very fit if you're carrying more than 20% body fat. Maybe you are. Maybe you're working to lose that weight. But if you're not working to lose some of that weight, it's a good sign, especially above 25%, up into 30% and stuff. You're probably not super duper healthy, you know. Above 20%, you can be healthy between 20 and 25. You can just have a bigger body. But again, we're talking about the best body, I feel, for a prepper, would be below 20%. 25 is a little too high, 30 is definitely too high. And above that, you're running into some serious problems. I'm sorry, but you're greatly reducing your chances of surviving. You can't go as far. If you're walking, you can't go as far because you're carrying extra weight. Sure, you could say that that extra fat acts as a good energy store. So if you're in a starvation scenario, you have months and months worth of extra energy on your body. But that's a poor argument because, sorry, odds are you probably won't survive very long if you're carrying, you know, if you weigh 250 pounds and you're 30% body fat. You're not going to survive very long because you're not going to be able to do much. You're not going to be able to move very quickly. You're not going to move very far. And your body's going to cut through that really quickly. Also, high body fat can be a sign of low muscle mass. Again, not if you're a bodybuilder. If you are, or not a bodybuilder, a weightlifter. If you're a weightlifter, you carry a high muscle mass, and your body fat percentage at 25%, that's okay. Not necessarily bad. I'll be getting more into like a good amount of muscle mass, I feel. But if you have that high of percentage, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But again, I would shoot for below 20%. As a goal, in between 20% and 12%. That's a good range. You know, ideal would be right around 15, 14%. Then you have some decent energy stores. Your body can run off the fat for a while, but it's not going to be slowing you down too much. And it's not going to suddenly tap into your muscle for energy right away, like it would if you had a very low body fat percentage. Your muscle's not going to waste away as quickly. And your body just runs in general, much better when it's around that percentage. Whereas if it's all the way down to 5% or all the way up to 35%, you're going to run into a lot of problems. If your body fat is too high, talking in not so much of a prepper sense, but just in a healthy sense, you're going to run into all sorts of problems. You raise your risk up for different types of cancer, raise your risk for heart disease, stroke, heart attack, diabetes, especially if you're eating lots of sweets, all sorts of things like that. So you definitely want to keep it below, again, 10-20%, somewhere in that range would be ideal. For the perfect body fat percentage, probably around 12 to 15. So getting into the next scale I'm going to talk about is level of muscle mass. You don't want a lot of muscle mass. Again, we're going to talk about the extremes. You have a very low muscle mass. Now that might just be because you're super duper skinny, or maybe because you're very large and you never work out and you just have lots of fat and not much muscle. A very low body or muscle mass isn't good for end of the world type of scenario. You're not going to be able to do very much. You're not going to be able to work much. You'll be able to carry a big pack on your back. You're not going to be able to shovel. You're not going to be able to farm as well. You're not going to be able to lift as much. If you're in some sort of a self-defense scenario, you're not going to be able to do as much because you just don't have much muscle. So certainly there's a lot of people that will be watching this video that don't have enough muscle mass. Now I can't give you a good number on muscle mass, how much. The best I can give you is a picture of somebody that has the good amount of muscle mass, or maybe like a type of person. Okay, so I'm thinking if you're talking in the sports sense, I'm talking maybe like a NFL quarterback would have a good amount of muscle. I'm not talking like a Cam Newton type. I'm talking like a Phillip Rivers or a Tom Brady. That's a good percent or type of muscle mass. You don't want to be like a linebacker or a lineman. If you're thinking football again, something like a safety or cornerback, that's a good level of muscle mass too. If you're thinking celebrities, there's not a whole lot of celebrities that have very fit bodies that have a good level of muscle mass for this type of scenario. Usually they carry too much muscle mass. So you want to be carrying a decent amount, but not too much. So we'll get into the other side of the scale, too much muscle mass. Now this is two types of people. Either a heavy lifter, somebody that lifts a lot of weight, usually also carries a decent level of fat. That's not a terrible scenario to be in. But again, that extra muscle mass is going to be causing you to burn extra calories, and you're not necessarily going to use it unless you plan on carrying like 200 pounds at once or something. If you are in a reduced calorie state for an extended amount of time, you're going to lose that muscle pretty quickly, and it's not going to be worth working at it now. If you are the bodybuilder type that carries a lot of muscle mass, I'm talking people that have high muscle mass, low body fat. Again, in my opinion, I think that is a very poor body type to be for a prepper. Why do I say that? Again, you don't have much fat to tap into, and you're carrying a lot of muscle that you might be able to use for a while, but it's going to waste away quickly. You're going to become pretty ineffective after a while. You're not going to be a bodybuilder 1 month into a scenario where you're only eating 1,000 calories a day or something. Could you imagine if you're a bodybuilder and watching this, and you suddenly took a month where you just ate 1,000 calories, and you're doing heavy physical activity? Can you imagine how quickly your muscles would waste away? It's because you don't have that body fat to tap into. That's how I feel about body or muscle mass. Finally, get into the last category I'm talking about, is the type of fitness you want to be working at if you are a prepper. Going all the way from endurance, I'm talking long hikes, marathon training and stuff, all the way to pure strength training, weightlifting, short reps, high weight. What do I think? First of all, what do I think is the best type of fitness you can be if you're a prepper? Well, I think the best type is the type that you can do consistently. Again, preppers in general can be very fit, but a lot of times you get a lot of people, middle-aged people, or even younger people, quote-unquote keyboard commandos that don't work out on a regular basis. If you're in weightlifting and that's the only one you really like to do, do it. That's better than nothing. If you like cardio, do that. Work on cardio. If you like high intensity type of training, high intensity interval training, sprinting, stuff like that, do that. Do it. Start with whatever you know that you can do and get motivated for. Because that's part of the fight, you know, getting motivated for something. If you're a 45-year-old man carrying 35% body fat and you're watching this video and you know that you need to lose weight, but you've been having trouble at it, if you don't want to start running on a treadmill or biking or something like that, and you know you can't handle something high intensity like, I'm talking like P90X or Insanity, just start with weightlifting. Start from there. You know, you can do weightlifting high reps if you wanted to. And that's going to help your cardio system to an extent. But it's also going to help you put on muscle, help you get into that. And maybe later along the line, you can get more into high intensity training or cardio or something like that and work on actually cutting some fat. Weightlifting, you can cut fat. Weightlifting takes work. It's not as easy to lose weight, I think, as it is doing other types of training. But again, whatever you're comfortable with starting with, that's the best type of exercise for you. But again, pure weightlifting is not ideal, I don't think, for a prepper. Either with pure cardio, doing only running or only hiking or only biking. Those things, they both can have their advantages for a prepper. But again, we're looking for a happy medium between those two things. So what I think is the best is a mix of all three. We're talking pure weightlifting, pure high intensity training, and pure cardio. Mix those all three together. So what would this look like? This would look like doing weightlifting 2 or 3 times a week. And this doesn't have to be with weights, and we do with your own body weight. I'm talking push-ups, pull-ups, squats, things like that. Sometimes that might fall into the high intensity training, but I still consider it a type of weightlifting. Resistance training, maybe you could call it that. So this can be with weights, or it can be with your own body weight. Push-ups, pull-ups, squats, jumps, things like that. High intensity training. You don't have to buy a fancy workout DVD for this. This can mean, okay, so on my channel I have something called Freeletics. This would be an awesome workout app for a prepper. Check it out, check out my video. I have a link right below. That'd be an awesome one for a prepper to watch because it offers a lot of high intensity type training. I'm talking burpees, short sprints, 40-yard dashes, 20-meter dashes. You know, I'm trying to think of some other ones. Quick feet, high knees, even 400-meter dashes. That all would fall into that high intensity type training. And if you are older and very overweight, please don't start with high intensity training. If you have heart issues and you're very overweight, ease into this. Maybe even talk to your doctor first. Don't start with high intensity training. You're just asking for trouble then, you know, a heart attack or something like that. Start with something else. So again, high intensity training can be a lot of different things, but I think that's good to integrate into your workout regimen. Finally, we have cardio. Now this can again take many forms. Biking, running, jogging, or hiking. Now I don't say walking. Walking is not ideal for cardio. You're going to work on your slow twitch fibers, muscles some, but if you can, and again, if you're old and walking is the best you can do now, or if you're just really out of shape, start with that. But hiking is much, much better. Why do I say that? Because you're going to keep your heart rate much higher. Your muscles are going to be working a lot higher as you go up and down the terrain. And if you want to make it a little harder, add a backpack on. Or, you know, go out there if you have a lot of property or a private forest that you can think of where you won't see much people. Go out there and, you know, deck yourself out in this gear that you haven't been using. That's been sitting in your closet for the past year or so. Put on your plate carrier vest. You know, if you can, maybe carry your rifle. Put on a backpack. Wear your boots, fatigues, or whatever you like to wear. And do that, even in the winter. Yeah, do it in the winter. Put on some gloves, some snow pants, a jacket and stuff, and go out and hike like that. You're going to get your workout in even quicker, you know. Ultimately, you want to be able to go for a long hike, carrying your full bug-out bag or whatever you have, 40 pounds, maybe a plate carrier vest, mags, rifle, whatever else you need. you want to be able to get in that type of shape. You don't want to wait until something bad happens to start trying to get in shape. That's a recipe for disaster. So again, this is what I feel is the best body type for a prepper. Some of you might be thinking what I'm basically modeling this off of is, you know, light infantry or a Marine or something like that. You know, I guess we can aspire to have the body of an Army Ranger or Navy SEAL. That's not super realistic for most of us. But something like that, light infantry, Marine, that's the type of thing we want for our body, our level of fitness. So again, I hope you like this video. If you're upset with it or you need advice or help, feel free to comment below or message Great Lakes Prepper or message my channel, Fitness Simplified. We're happy to give you advice, or you can just yell at us and tell us how terrible we are for saying that you're out of shape. But seriously, guys, this is a big problem, not just for the prepper community, but for, you know, America in general. We're one of the most obese nations in the world. You know, I saw a stat recently that there's now more people that die from obesity in the world than there is from hunger, you know, from starvation. That's got to tell you something about the way that we've been living. So I hope you like this video. Like, share, and subscribe to Great Lakes Prepper. Check out my channel if you want to, and thank you for watching.